Charles Gibson. Partners in crime, we are right here at our usual post.
Partners in crime. But isn't in America and in politics, isn't spinning, what is spinning, Charlie?
Well, spinning is getting out your point of view, trying to put your interpretation on something.
So do you think there is a lot of spinning done in politics and various other places?
Sure.
Well,
sure. But do you think this one is spun correctly?
We want to tell you what we know as we know it. We just got a report in that there's been some sort of explosion at the World Trade Center in New York City.
I want to show that to you and to our audience. Let's just watch. The first plane smashing into the World Trade Center. We've seen video throughout the day of the second plane that went into the World Trade Center.
I've heard about those sonic booms, and I got up to my window. I live in Battery Park City, right next to the Twin Towers. I live in Battery Park City, right next to the Twin Towers. I live in Battery Park City, right next to the Twin Towers.
But these two buildings are essentially cities in and of themselves. But these two buildings are essentially cities in and of themselves. I mean, but these two buildings are essentially cities in and of themselves. I mean,
and I looked up, and the side of the World Trade, and I looked up, and the side of the World Trade Center exploded right when I looked up, and at that point, debris started falling. I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Can you hear anything from your position right now? Ambulances, sirens? Hear anything from your position right now? Ambulances, sirens?
Absolutely.
Can you see any actual people in that area who may have been hit by any of this debris or were not able to get out of the way? Can you see any crowds that may be too close to where they should be? Anything like that?
No, I don't think so, and it's not a highly trafficked area at the base of the World Trade Center, so that's one fortunate thing.
Gene, right now we're continuing to look at pictures of this devastating scene according to...
It appeared to bank sharply and smash directly, perhaps purposefully, into, oh my goodness,
oh God,
there's another one. Oh my goodness, there's another one.
This seems to be on purpose.
Oh my goodness, now it's obvious, I think, that there's a second plane just crashed into the World Trade Center. I think we have a terrorist act of proportions that we cannot begin to imagine at this juncture.
Oh my God.
My goodness. A second plane now has crashed into the other tower of the World Trade Center. Obviously, suicide, terrorist attack on the World Trade Center.
Video, the plane coming, and now no words, no reason.
I think we all have struggled today with a way to define.
Amateur video, the plane coming, and now no words, no reason.
I think we all have struggled today.
It took such a loss of life and a shock to the American people to do so. But I think as we look back from some perspective of history, September the 11th, 2001 will be the turning of a page in the history of
New York, and also it will attack the Pentagon, which is supposed to be very, very secure.
now, how do you think the Americans are going to react now? I mean, judging on past
news of that second plane crash. Oh, there it is. Oh my God. Oh my God! News of that second plane crash. Oh, there it is. Oh my God. Oh my God! Jesus fucking Christ! That's.
It's unreal.
It's just.
Oh my God!
A ball of flame envelops the second of the World Trade Center.
The ABC's Jim Fish has the latest information.
We are now getting more information about what may have happened, may have led up to these incidents, these attacks.
CBS Early Morning News when this happened. And they broke into regular programming, and while we were on the air live, we saw that happen. A second plane, believed to be Flight 11, American Airlines, from Boston.
Second tower.
Here's the second one.
Right. Over and over since yesterday, but now we're getting more video.
For your leading suspect, that's Osama bin Laden.
And for Americans who had, I guess, enjoyed some sense of security, thinking that perhaps Osama bin Laden and his organizers and compatriots were up to Osama bin Laden and his organizers and compatriots
over the telephone.
So in other words, Senator Shelby, I know you agree with Senator Graham that we need to invest much more in people.
A guy was with me in the shop, and he was down on the ground and he started to cry. I says, listen, I says, you get hurt? He says, no. I says, well, if you're not hurt, stop the crying. We got to get our act together. We got to get out of here. He says, I can't walk because I'm shot. So he says, where are we going to go? I said, we're going to get out of here. So I crawl on my left side.
Did you grasp what you were seeing, what the camera was recording?
There was no way I could possibly grasp what I was seeing. I just saw a flash come in on the left of the frame. I saw an airplane. I could identify it as an airplane.
Plane took off about 8 o'clock out of Logan in Boston on its way to Los Angeles, climbed to 29,000 feet and cruising at about 450 knots. About that time, 8:28, the flight took an immediate hard left turn due south.
That was a description of what happened to Flight 11, which was the first one to come into the towers. And just looking at the timing, it's interesting. The plane took off at exactly 8 o'clock from Logan Airport in Boston, and it was at 8:28 that it took that hard left-hand turn and then crashed into the World Trade Center at about 8:45. So that means for 17 minutes, some air traffic controller had to know that they had a rogue aircraft on their hands heading for New York City. The other flight, the one that went into the second World Trade Center, and that was United Flight 175, a 767 that had taken off for Boston for Los Angeles, took off at 8:15, basically doing a U-turn over New Jersey and slammed into the to the building at 9:03. So again, for a considerable period of time, the air traffic controllers had to know that they had not one but two rogue aircrafts heading for New York. That there was a level of sophistication on the part of these hijackers that was pretty great. That not only is a very simple signal that can be sent from the planes to indicate that a flight has been hijacked. That signal, she has reported, did not come from either plane, and that indeed the transponders on the plane, the equipment on the plane that sends out information about the plane's height and its speed and whatever, had been turned off on the plane, and that obviously indicates a lot of sophistication on the part of these pilots, or the part of these hijackers. They knew what they were doing when they got the controls of these planes.
Yes, it's a 4-digit hijack code, and shocking to everybody that they could not place it, so something had been done to the plane ahead of time.
Whoever is behind this put together an incredibly sophisticated program. Just the idea that you would have multiple operators in multiple cities with the ability to get onto a plane with either the weaponry or false weaponry or explosives to be able to pull off a hijacking, again, probably with a locked cockpit.
3 of them, maybe.
Again, a hijacking and another hijacking and another, and maybe one that's still aloft, that you would be able to, and this is the part that has confounded me, and you touched on this, how do you make a pilot in a plane full of passengers into a suicide pilot, a kamikaze to slam into a building? And if you do not, how do you, as the terrorist, have the level of sophistication to take over the controls of a sophisticated airliner jet plane to be able to fly accurately into targets like hitting dead center into the Pentagon?